Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and in this video I'd like to give you a little overview of the 2018-2019 Sunshine State books for 6th to 8th grade. I started reading this list of books when my daughter Katie was in middle school, and now she's in 10th grade. So it's been a few years now, and I've really enjoyed this process. I've just found some wonderful books that I've been able to recommend to people, and when Katie was in middle school, we enjoyed reading some of the same books, and I've continued to read this list, A, because I really enjoy middle grade books, and B, because I enjoy volunteering for Book Bowl. Our librarian at the middle school does a really fantastic event. Each student who reads at least 3 of the books can participate. We make questions from each book, and it's a team event, and then we feed them the food that the characters in the book in each book eat. So the process of reading the books is not just for enjoyment. I'm also making a list in my handy dandy notebook here of all of the foods that are consumed in the books. And then this year I've been helping to write questions and take notes and everything. So I am going to tell you just a little bit about each book. So this first book is Clicked by Tamara Ireland Stone. This is about a girl who creates an app for a game for competition, and it goes viral very quickly, and she also discovers that there's a glitch which could sabotage her chance of winning. If she takes it down and tries to fix it, it may not work in time for the competition, and if she doesn't take it down, then it will jeopardize her her participants' privacy. So she has a dilemma on her hands, which is more important. And it is a really good story. It has themes of integrity and friendship. Also, if you are interested in coding and computers, I think you will enjoy this book. And even if you're not, or don't know if you are or not, I think you'll learn something if you read this book. So it is really a lot of fun, and I would recommend it. The next book is A Crack in the Sea by H.M. Bouwman. This is a fantasy story. It's beautifully told. It is a little bit disjointed, but the author prepares you sometimes when new sections start that don't seem to fit with the previous section. The author will explain, this may not make sense. This is such and such story. Just wait. You'll see how it all ties together at the end, and that's very true. I actually read this twice because I listened to it the first time on audio, and then I decided I needed to go back and just make sure I understood how everything pieced together. So I really enjoyed it. The fantasy story is wrapped in and around historical settings and events. There's even a historical figure that comes into play. The book has themes of family, love, survival, destiny, purpose in life. If you're interested in historical events and maybe character origins of Vietnam refugees and Africans being sold into slavery, then you might enjoy this story. There's also some magical realism, and the title is actually a play on words. It's never said that it is, but you know it is. At the end, as you're finishing the story, you look back at the title and go, oh my goodness, how fun is that? So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll see if you read this book. Also, this is narrated on audio by Bahni Turpin. And if I forget or neglect to mention any of the audiobook narrators, I will, of course, include them in the description box below. So the next book actually has 2 titles. My copy is called Curse of the Boggin. It's by D.J. MacHale. This book is also published under the name Surrender the Key. The series is called The Library, and this is book 1. And this is the token creepy book on the Florida Sunshine State list for this year. I listened to it on audio. It's read by Keith Nobbs and Mark Bramhall. And this is a mysterious story about a library in another dimension. It's in the library, there are only two categories of books that are finished and books that are unfinished. And our main character, Marcus, has found the key to the library, and he keeps getting pestered by a mysterious character to surrender the key. And of course, he's not going to do that without a fight. He and his friends get pulled into an unfinished story that they have to finish, and it involves the mystery of what happened to Marcus's parents. So it is it's a very mysterious book with a bit of a creep factor. And so if you like creepy books, then you might want to give this one a look. The next book is The Epic Fail of Arturo Zamora. I read this book in print, but it is on audio and it's narrated by the author. This is a contemporary story about a Cuban family from a community in Miami who own a restaurant, and the city owns the land that the restaurant is on, and it is up for the lease is up for renewal, and there's a developer who's trying to take over the property, and of course conflict ensues. Now the title, The Epic Fail of the story, has to do with Arturo and his romantic interests. Now mostly his what he thinks is an epic fail really is not as big of an epic fail as he feels it is. You know, I mean, it's that typical story of an adolescent who is really unsure of himself, and he's trying to find himself and just learn who he is in his own shoes and that kind of thing. But it's really a sweet story about Arturo, and then also his part in helping to save his family's restaurant. So the other thing about this book is it really made me hungry, and there are some recipes in the back, but since the setting of the book takes place largely in a restaurant, you can imagine that there's some good food descriptions. So I enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good, and I highly recommend it. The next book is called The Eureka Key. It's book 1 in the Secrets of the Seven, and it is by Sarah L. Thomson. I don't think this is available on audio. This is a contemporary story, but it's got some historical interest. It is about a boy who is really great at solving puzzles. He enters a contest and gets chosen to go on an educational adventure. He arrives and finds only 2 other kids, and one of them is very mysterious. And at the first stop on their trip, they encounter trouble. They find that they've been drafted to help recover artifacts that were hidden by some of our founding fathers here in the United States. And they have to find them before the bad guys get there first. So the themes are history and teamwork. And if you have an interest in history, American history, and adventure stories, then I think you would enjoy this book. And there was one other thing I was going to say about it, and I can't think. Oh, now I remember. The description on Goodreads has a spoiler. There are characters in this book who are direct descendants of some of our founding fathers, and they don't reveal all of those right away, but the description on Goodreads gives it all away. So I think it would be so much more interesting to not know all of those things going into the book and just find them out as you go. I think it would make it more interesting. So I would just caution you about reading the description of this book on Goodreads. The next book is The Firefly Code by Megan Frazer Blakemore. This was narrated on audio by Cassandra Morris. And my first thought when I was getting started in this book is, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? It is basically a utopian story about a community with partially genetically engineered children. And so you could see that there might be some controversy surrounding this book. Now, the story goes, basically, there's a group of children here, and there's a new kid, and they take the new kid in. It's a girl, and they become friends with her, but soon they start to realize that there's something just a little bit different about her, and they can't quite figure out what it is. So that's one storyline. There's also a mysterious house that had belonged to the founder of the community. She happens to be the grandmother of the main character, and the kids are not allowed to go in there. No one lives there. No one goes in. It's just basically locked up, and everyone is told to stay away. Of course, with any utopian society, society. All is not as perfect as it seems. And disappointingly, this book ends on a cliffhanger. So I'm going to have to read the next book, but that's okay. It was a good book. I did enjoy it. The themes are friendship and personal choices. And if you're interested in genetic engineering and artificial intelligence, then you might enjoy this book. The next book is The First Rule of Punk by Celia C. Perez. Now, I read this book in print, but it is available on audio, narrated by Trini Alvarado. And this book is about a young girl who, her name is Malou. She loves punk music, making zines, and she hates cilantro. She is from a I guess a multiracial family. Her mother is Mexican. Her father is not. I don't know if it ever really says if he's white or what, but anyway, her parents are divorced at this point in the story, and her mother has been hired to well, she's a college professor, and she has been she has taken a position that's going to be a 3-year job across the country. So Malou, who really would love to stay near her father, who owns a music store, is very disappointed that she has to go with her mother across the country and you know, be the new kid in school and make new friends and everything like that. So the other kind of fun thing is that her you know, Malou just wants to be herself, and her mother is Mexican, and she is always trying to encourage Malou to be a proper señorita, and Malou calls her mother the super Mexican because, you know, she's, you know, always talking about how her mother's trying to get her to be more Mexican, and you know, she wants to be an individual. She wants to be who she is, and so those are some of the basic themes of the story: is being yourself. Also, let's see. Oh, goodness, I've lost my train of thought here. Anyway, besides that, though, I think if you're interested in paper crafting, you will enjoy this book. Let me show you some of the pages. Malou likes to make zines, which are kind of like little scrapbooks. And so there are several sections in the book of her zines. And I didn't even know that was a thing. But if you read the bio about the author, it says that the author loves to make zines. In fact, quite a bit of the book really sounds autobiographical. So that, you know, kind of gives it an interesting added element. So anyway, that is a really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think you might like to pick it up, especially if you have an interest in music or paper crafting and themes of, you know, being yourself and being the individual that you are.